Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be here. Let's start out with a ground rule. I'm glad Gary pointed out over here the candidates from last election, the low turnout. Mr. Palace's name comes to the forefront. He's proposed that the next council members get a $5,000 increase in pay. I agree with the $5,000, but he's going in the wrong direction. Should be a decrease. A friend of mine the other day said, David, $5,000 compared to the city budget, that doesn't seem to be a whole lot. Well, you talk to a man or a woman in this town earning a living, $5,000 is a lot of money. So let me give you a little bit of background about myself. Born and raised here in Knoxville, fourth generations. My great-granddad built a house on Sutherland in the 1920s. It's still in the family. He was in the grocery business, had a cafe in the old market house, and he taught his children conservative values, that you work hard, you save your money, try to help your neighbor. In fact, during the Depression, he carried a lot of people on credit for a number of years so they got on their feet. Down on Locust Street, when you go by the parking garage, be thinking about my great-granddad. He was a true gentleman, helped a lot of people. I feel like I've got a lot of that in me, and thank God for my wonderful parents that raised me and everything, gave me some good Christian values. And what I want to do, I want to help the neighborhoods. Everything goes back to the neighborhood level. One politician, I won't mention the name, he's not of our party, said all politics are local. Well, I go one further. They're neighborhood. Neighborhood after neighborhood tells me the city won't sit down and talk to us about our ideas. They do not want to get our input on sidewalks or traffic calming or greenways. I ran across a retired city official a while back campaigning and said, oh, the city doesn't have to talk to the neighborhoods about anything like that. That's unfortunate. Government far too many times forgets that they get their authority from the consent of the governed. That's you and me, everybody in this room, our wonderful citizens of Knoxville. So government needs to be put in their place. So what I want to do, I want to build up our economy so we don't have to keep going up on property taxes. What we've done in the Pond Gap community, we have worked to get businesses coming in. We've even had a public relations campaign on one business. We went before the Planning Commission and zoning appeals and fought for that business. We had to overcome some tiny opposition because they wanted to dictate where their building was to be placed, how their parking was going to be arranged, even what flowers they had to plant. Well, we had a petition of almost 100 people versus 7 for the opposition. Thank the good Lord, we won. We passed all the rules and everything. Now that business, El Charro, is thriving. We backed up what we did. We patronized that business. We've got some wonderful business there that add to the neighborhood. They don't detract from it. They enjoy our history. I think every neighborhood in the city could benefit from that so we can build up the economic base. I think far too many times we don't showcase the style and grace of our people. Growing up, my parents said we'd go out to Chilhowie Park, and on Magnolia there were at least 2 bed and breakfast houses. They were owned by the people that lived there. They would invite in a family from up north. I remember my dad would say, well, let's see what cars parked out in front. You could tell by the license plate, are they from Michigan or Indiana? And that's a great way to build up our neighborhood and our city, one-on-one. People come back here, they fall in love with the city, they want to live here, they want to bring their companies here and so forth. We need to really play up the style and grace and warmth of our people. I don't think that's been done. I'll tell you about a project that we're working on now. It's a civil rights plaza on Sutherland Avenue. In the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the black and white people in the neighborhood, I hate to use labels, but for my story I need to do that. We're all God's children. We're trying to show that these amateur baseball games that were played in that area brought the neighbors together. They would share a picnic lunch. There was no such thing as segregation in Pond Gap, thank God. We had some great baseball teams that showcased wonderful talent. There were some scheduled games. There were about 3 or 4 leagues that played there. And what we hope to do, put up some baseball figures out of metal to show this, to tell the people, the great players that played there, the camaraderie of the people and everything. We thought the hardest job would be getting a physical sponsor for us because we want to raise the money privately. Well, can you guess where the opposition comes from, or at least say a hindrance? The city of Knoxville, trying to let us use the right-of-way like they don't know what the right-of-way is or where it's at and everything. If they would stay out of our way, we can do the job. And that's what our neighbors do. They've got the common sense to tell the city, this is what needs to be done, you allow us to do it. I'll give you another case in point. In our neighborhood, we have a sidewalk forced on us. That's right, forced on us. We already had two. The third one we did not need, while other places around the city are needing sidewalks. I tell these neighbors, well, I know where part of your money went. It should not have been spent in our neighborhood. The city didn't want to have any opportunity for input by the neighborhoods. Tragic. It's your money and my money, but we don't have any input. That's got to change. And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, I'm going to help make that change. Well, we had an idea for the sidewalk to be placed in another area. It'd been far cheaper. How many people here remember when the promenade was built? Are you as old as I am? Well, this showcased a rundown back of the wonderful shops on Gay Street. You had a nice area for flowers and everything. I remember the escalator. I remember riding up that as a kid. That was a lot of fun in the parking lot. Well, we had an idea to open up a block of Sutherland in the back. We could have benches, flowers and everything, a back entrance to the buildings, have sort of a history plaza area. But we were not afforded a hearing. Nobody would listen to us. That's got to change. So that the key idea is that we can list issues like traffic calming, we need sidewalks and everything, but really the underlying problem is the neighborhoods are not allowed to come forward and say, this is what we want, work with us. In our neighborhood, for instance, many problems we've solved without having to go to the city. I remember Barry Goldwater saying that, you know, the government forgets that the citizens out here are pretty smart individuals. They come up with some darn good ideas and solutions and so forth. We need to take advantage of that. Remember, we need to have limited government, very limited, and government as close to the people as we can possibly get. And I don't think how closer we can get than when you're talking to your neighborhood.